Toronto breathes baseball. And in the midst of that blue and white air, two stories intertwine and reveal the beating heart of the Blue Jays nation. On one side, Ernie Clement, the unlikely hero who won over the fans with effort, contact, and versatility, remains solid in the lineup despite the rumors about a supposed 4-year contract. The truth? He hasn't signed anything new. But the good news is that he's still part of this Blue family for at least 3 more seasons. On the other side, the Toronto Blue Jays look ahead, hungry, ambitious, and still tasting the bitterness of a World Series loss in the 7th game. But that defeat didn't cool anything down. On the contrary, it ignited the front office. And now the plan is bold: to go all in on the market, target Kyle Tucker, and keep Bo Bichette with a contract extension that could redefine the franchise's future. The heart of Toronto is pounding hard between Clement's loyalty and the grand rebuild that promises to shake up the offseason. Drop a like, Blue Jays Nation, because this is the moment for those who believe, even when Toronto's sky turns gray. News 1. Ernie Clement has become a synonym for effort. When he stepped on the field in the 2025 playoffs, no one expected that a low-profile player with an almost old-school style would break an MLB record, the most hits in a single postseason debut. It was the kind of performance that turns ordinary players into fan symbols. The kind of effort the Blue Jays Nation recognizes instantly: sweat, discipline, love for the game. That's why, when rumors surface on social media about a new 4-year contract with the Toronto Blue Jays, fans felt a mix of joy and doubt. And what came next, no one expected. The truth is that Clement has not signed a new contract. No reliable reporter, either from MLB or the Toronto media, has confirmed such an extension. The rumors started from a Facebook post, something that quickly gained traction among fans, but was later debunked bit by bit. The confusion came from the fact that Clement is still under team control through 2029. He is now entering salary arbitration, which means the Blue Jays have the power to keep him for the next 3 seasons. So, fans can breathe easy. Clement isn't going anywhere. But the question remains: will Toronto value him as he deserves? Behind the scenes, the atmosphere is calm and filled with respect. The locker room knows how much Clement means to the group. Players like him, who bring versatility and consistent contact, are rare in modern MLB. The fact that he was nominated for 2 Gold Gloves, even without winning, shows how noticeable his presence is. The fans, meanwhile, see him as a symbol of stability amid the storm of speculation that always surrounds the team. In Toronto, Clement is seen as the kind of player who wears a jersey with pride, and that matters, especially in a roster full of stars. Clement's story is a reminder to the Blue Jays Nation. Not all greatness comes from massive contracts, but from the quiet work that holds the team together when everything seems about to fall apart. While the spotlight shines on the big names, Clement remains there, steady, representing what's purest in the blue and white culture: love for the game, devotion to the city, and a collective spirit. It feels like an echo of older times, when Toronto was still dreaming of building its identity. Now, with Clement secured for a few more years, fans can believe that something solid is being preserved. News 2. The wound is still open. The 2025 World Series ended like a punch to the stomach for the Blue Jays Nation. 7 games, extra innings in the last one, and the feeling that the title was just 1 pitch away. But what could have been the end of an era became fuel. The Toronto Blue Jays won't hide behind the pain. On the contrary, the front office seems to understand that they're 1 step from glory, and the next move needs to be their boldest yet. The atmosphere is one of aggressive rebuilding, not mourning. And what came next changed the tone of the entire offseason. Bob Nightingale, reporter for USA Today, made it clear Toronto will be one of the most aggressive teams in MLB this offseason. And that's not an exaggeration. The Blue Jays, who earned roughly $50 million extra from their World Series run, plan to reinvest it all into the roster. The hottest name on the table? Kyle Tucker, one of the best hitters in the league, an immediate impact player who could transform Toronto's offensive lineup. The front office wants to go all in against the Yankees and Dodgers, and that alone shows a new level of ambition. But it doesn't stop there. The plan also involves keeping the heartbeat of the team, Bo Bichette. Nightingale also confirmed that Toronto is working to extend his contract and finally put an end to all trade rumors. The question that echoes in the air is simple. Will the Canadian team finally break its own limits this time? Behind the scenes, things are heating up. Just a few years ago, the idea of Toronto fighting for big free agents seemed like fiction. Now, the team ranks among the league's top 10 in payroll after big contracts with Springer, Gaussman, Guerrero Jr., and Berrios. The front office seems determined to change the small market stigma internally. The focus is on proving to players that the project is real, that it's not just about one good season, but about building a blue empire in the North. Meanwhile, Bo Bichette faces a mix of criticism and loyalty. Some teams see him as a second or third baseman, pointing to defensive limitations. But Toronto sees him differently, as a shortstop who still has a lot to offer, and above all, as part of the emotional DNA of the team. What's at stake isn't just strengthening the roster, it's changing the narrative. For decades, the Toronto Blue Jays were the team that almost got there, always fighting against the financial power of the Giants. Now, the mindset feels different. If the rumors are true and Tucker puts on a blue and white, the impact will be immediate. A message that the North is no longer a supporting act. And keeping Bichette, even with defensive flaws, would be a symbolic gesture of continuity, something this franchise has rarely had. The Blue Jays nation feels it. The fans look at the field and see a team maturing, hurting, and growing together. Because in the end, what defines Toronto isn't the money spent. It's the resilience of those who fall in Game 7 and get up to dream again. Toronto is living one of those moments that define eras. On one side, Ernie Clement, a symbol of effort and consistency, proving that not everything comes down to million-dollar deals. He's the kind of player who reminds fans why they love this team. Someone who wears a jersey with pride, without spotlight, but with soul. On the other, a front office that finally seems to understand the size of the Blue Jays nation's dream. To invest big, target elite names, and keep the stars who carry the team's heart, like Bo Bichette. These are two stories that cross. One a quiet loyalty, another a declared ambition, and both reveal something deeper. The Toronto Blue Jays have stopped being a team that only reacts. Now they act, they pursue, they challenge. The World Series loss hurt. It really did. But it also awakened something. Toronto seems ready to prove that blue and white isn't just emotion. It's a project, a vision, a persistence. Because when the Blue Jays nation believes, no rumor, no defeat, and no financial giant can silence the sound of the Rogers Center. Being a Blue Jay means believing, even when the sky looks cloudy. Tell us what you think. Blue Jays Nation. Does Clement deserve an extension? Should Bichette stay in Toronto forever? Drop a like to show that this passion never cools down. Because here, it's the blue and white heart that speaks the loudest.